again. It's 4:01, and we'll start the webinar. And today we will hear about the use of software in site management and management planning. My name is Henk Singstra, and I'm the chairman of the Eurosite Management Expert Group. And our role is to organize webinars and field visits, and we do that with subjects that are relevant for site management. Last year we focused on grazing and organized 2 grazing study tours, one in the Netherlands and one in Poland. And this year we will focus on in protected area management effectiveness, and also on the nature restoration law, which I will come back on after the webinar. So at Eurosite, we believe that software does not yet play the vital role it could play in site management. Using software contributes to improving the effectiveness and impact of site management, and also contributes to the transparency of site management organizations and the allocation of funds, and it increases the resilience of management organization. Why is improving protected area management effectiveness relevant? Well, in 2020, the European Environment Agency published a report under the title Management Effectiveness in EU's Natura 2000 Network, and in which it concluded that management effectiveness is very poorly evaluated. After that, the EU Biodiversity Strategy was published, and the Biodiversity Strategy outlines a commitment to effectively manage all protected areas by 2030. And so last year, the EU issued a call for the implementation of a LIFE project aimed at setting up an EU system to assess management effectiveness of Natura 2000 sites and other protected areas. I honestly don't know what the status is of this call and whether it is up and running at the moment, but it's clear that the EU is also investing in projects to improve protected area management effectiveness, and also to develop a methodology to measure the effectiveness. One of the problems identified by the European Environment Agency is that there is a lack of knowledge and understanding in whether the investments in protected areas are lead to the desired outcomes. That is rather problematic, I would say, because site management is for the biggest part still funded from public sources, and we should be able to justify the investments that are being made. But more and more also private organizations are interested in investing in nature conservation because some private companies want to become nature positive and are interested in buying biodiversity certificates. And at Eurosite, we expect that the use of tailored software will help to increase insight in the results of investments in nature conservation. So today we have Christian van Oene, who is working for Natuurmonumenten. Christian will introduce himself and also the organization he is working for. And the organization is using software to support site management. So Christian, the floor is yours.
Okay, thank you, Henk. First, I shall introduce myself briefly. I'm Christian van Oene. I work for Natuurmonumenten in the Netherlands for the Department of Nature and Landscape. And my role is a specialist nature management. And in that role, I'm the contact person for all site managers we have at Natuurmonumenten. Before that, I worked for the Department of Information Management, and I was involved with the development of CMSI Web And before that, I worked 12 years at Landschap Overijssel, a provincial nature conservation organization in the east part of the Netherlands. And there I was a site manager. Then I shall start with my presentation. I shall share my screen. Okay, this is the content of the presentation. First of all, my goal or my objective for this presentation is to share experience of Natuurmonumenten with regard to the management planning and reporting method and the software that we used. So I shall first start with explain something about Natuurmonumenten to see, so you can see which organization I work for. Then I will tell something about the management cycle of Natuurmonumenten and the management planning and reporting method we used. Then I will tell something about the software that Natuurmonumenten uses for the management planning and reporting. Then I will shortly demonstrate the method we use, and at the end of the presentation I will share some experience and tell you something about some new developments at Natuurmonumenten. Natuurmonumenten is a nature conservation organization in the Netherlands. We were founded in 1905 when there was a beautiful site planned to be used as a dump near Amsterdam. Some people bought the site for protection, and after that we bought a lot of other sites, and we manage those sites. But not only we manage those sites, we're also try to be a movement for nature in the Netherlands. But in my presentation, I will only focus on the site management of our organization. Our goal is to preserve existing nature and cultural heritage, and acquire grants to create new nature, and also actively acquire cultural heritage preserves for the future. So you see we're not only managing nature areas, but also cultural heritage in the Netherlands. For the Netherlands, we're a large organization. We've got 371 sites, and it's more than 100,000 hectares of nature in total. And we're spread it over the whole Netherlands. So we manage a great diversity of the different landscapes. So you see on the right side, you see some pictures of the sites of Natuurmonumenten. You see some dunes along the coast. In the south part, we got some mountains, more hills in the Netherlands. We've got some dry nature and also the wet nature, and we manage also some estates with the park. So it's very diverse. And for later on, I will tell something about the method we used. It has to support all those different management of the different landscapes. So that was a challenge. A little bit about the organization structure of Natuurmonumenten. Again, only the nature management part of the organization. We've got a central office with a department of nature and landscape. That's the department where I work. We're responsible for the management cycle and other policies of nature management, and we support that. Then all our sites are divided over 24 departments in the Netherlands. And in the departments, you've got 2 or 3 site managers that are responsible for the management of those sites. And a site manager is mostly responsible for 1 or more sites within the department. We've also got a nature management team with field workers, and there is ecological support of an ecologist. And those colleagues are responsible for the management planning and reporting. And it depends on the knowledge of the employees within the departments who really does the management planning in CMSI. Later on, more about that. Something about the management cycle of Natuurmonumenten. I think this is a familiar picture for most of you, because it's based on the plan, do, act, check cycle. Every 18 years we make a site vision for our sites. And in the site vision, we write down what we want to achieve with the site, which objectives we have. And then every 6 years, we do an evaluation, and we see what the quality is of the management to be done and what the status is of the site. And in the circle below, you see the yearly management, and you see also the management planning in CMSI and the management reporting in CMSI, which we do yearly, and that is used in the evaluation. Something about the management planning and reporting method we used. We started this 5-6 years ago by planning it, and we introduced it, I think, in 2020, so more than 3 years ago. What did we want to achieve? First of all, we want to support the site managers with their management, so they can make maps of the projects they want to execute. But sometimes the managers are already there for 20 years in the site. That's not always necessary. Much more important thing we want to achieve was a good transfer of knowledge. We used to employees that worked 30 or 40 years on the same location as a site manager, but nowadays there's a lot of more transfer of employees within our organization. That is much more important to have a good transfer of knowledge. And in the right picture, you see there that is shown a picture how it works. In time, you improve your quality, you get some extra experience, and by adaptive management, the quality improves of your management. And when somebody is leaving the organization, you want to ensure that that information stays within the organization, and that's where we use management planning and reporting in CMSI for. Another thing we want to achieve is good data for evaluations, which I mentioned is we do evaluations every 6 years, and the data of the management wasn't available most of the times. We knew which plans there are now, which plans there were 6 years ago, but what we did has to come out of the minds of our employees, and sometimes that employee wasn't there anymore. So we needed a better way for reporting to have those information available for our evaluations. And the last thing we want to achieve is accountability for the subsidy provider. Last week, Tjebbe de Boer told something about the certification system in the Netherlands, and he told about a conversation he had with another person, and that was telling him that certification can help make some parts more important within an organization. And he asked me if that was also the case at Natuurmonumenten, and I can agree about that. So we do it this method for the accountability, but also the certification helps us to get it more important because time is limited, and we've got a lot of things what has to be done. But if it's needed to done by because of a certification, it's become more important. So I'm glad that it's part of the certification in the Netherlands. So the management planning and reporting is become more important within Natuurmonumenten. The principles for the method is it is very important that entering the information is very simple. I already said there's not a lot of time available for this kind of work, so it has to be easy to fill in the information. When you have the information in your system, it must be easy to consult and analyze the data. And the management must be in line. The method must be in line with the management practice. Now, some basis of the method, we work Map Central. We notice that our site managers think from the map. They know the location where they're going to do their projects more than they have to look in a list with compartments, for example. So they want to select it on the map, and it's also easier to get the information from the map than you get information from a text field. So that's why we work Map Central. That's very important. We try to standardize the working where it's possible. So we work with a project catalog, which contains all the projects we use. And so it's easier to compare information between the different sites. So if you have an activity, for example, mowing, that we want to, everybody calls it also mowing and not a different term, terminology, sorry, different word. So that's why we use a project catalog, and we can also use policies for every project. So in the project catalog, you can also say what they need to record, for in CMSI, and we're also try to get regulation per type of management. So if you have a grazing activity, it's already we can make it. Sorry, I can't get the word. We can say how they have to fill the information in CMSI when they use a grazing project. But also we want to provide freedom for our colleagues when they're filling CMSI. It has to fit with the management practice. And that's why we use free text fields. Those are difficult to compare. So that's something we can't do anymore then. But if we don't use free text fields and the colleagues cannot enter the right information into the system because they want to have extra information in it, they may be going to use an extra administration. In the Netherlands, we call it shadow administration. I'm sure if it's an international term, but it's a second administration outside the organization systems. So, for example, if you're mowing a grassland, most of the times we mow after a certain date, and that's something you can standardize in your system. But sometimes you mow after a certain plant has set seed, for example, and that's very difficult to put in standard fields. So therefore we use free text fields and so that it fits with their management practice, and they don't need an extra administration besides, in our case, CMSI. Also, important was that the data was available in the office and also in the field. We work with CMSI Web, which is a website. So every device that has a connection with the internet, you can see the information on it. So if you have a laptop, a phone, or a tablet, doesn't matter. If you have internet access, you can see the information in CMSI Web. Earlier in the presentation, I told you we have got a very large, a lot of the different landscapes. And when I start introducing the new method, I visit all our departments. And when I showed the method, they always tell me that their way of management is different from the management I used to do in my part of the country. And indeed, that was the case. But if you look at it from the data side of the story, then it's not that difficult, because you do something. You do what is she doing? That's a project in CMSI. You do it. When do you do it? It's an annual project of the year, and you do it at some location. Where? That's the link geometry, and you fill in some extra details. So if you look from the data side, it's not that different, the management that is executed. So for every project we put into CMSI, we answer those 4 questions. Then something about the software that we use. We use CMSI Web. It stands for Conservation Management System International. It's developed in Wales by the IDOCS group, and it's developed with a close interaction with the users. So it's got a lot of field experience into the system. It's also a system for other things than nature management. Also, we store our agreements and real estate and observations into CMSI, but for this presentation, I only will show something about the nature management module. We also used QGIS. QGIS is a professional open source GIS application. We use QField, that's the app of QGIS for collecting data in the field, and we use Power BI. On this slide, you see an overview. In the center, you see the CMSI database, the place where all the data is stored. And on the left side, you see the CMSI application where you can consult the data and manage the data, edit it. And so, as I told, you can do that on your laptop or in the field on your telephone. You can edit the data. Then on the right side of the slide, you see, first of all, QGIS. QGIS we use for analyzing the data in CMSI and make maps of it. You've got full GIS functionality with QGIS, and all data that is in CMSI, in the CMSI database, is available in QGIS for all users. And below that, you see Power BI, and Power BI we use to make reports, and there's most combined data from, we could combine data from different sources. So we can use CMSI data with financial data from our financial system. On the left, you also see SharePoint. SharePoint is our document system. There we store our documents, and those are linked to CMSI. So if you want to store extra information about a project plan, for example, you can store that in SharePoint and link it to CMSI web, and so it's available. And above in this slide, you see QField, and QField we used for data collection in the field, mostly on the tablet. And you can prepare a QGIS project in QGIS. You can prepare a QField project in QGIS and then export it to the QField cloud. And from the QField cloud, you can use it on the tablet in the field. And after you did inventarization, you collect the data, you can import the information in CMSI with a tool or a script. Then I'm going to give a small demonstration about the method we are using. I use fake data, and it's not an instruction. I'm only showing the method, so I'm not going to explain every button there is in CMSI or in QGIS. And the system is in Dutch. I couldn't translate it to English, so sometimes I put a label in English, or else I will tell the English term in my presentation. First of all, management planning. What needs to be planned and is that we want to plan all activities that have an effect on the nature results. So if a tree falls on a path and it's removed, that's not something we're planning in CMSI Web. It's also not a planning tool that has complete all the activities that we do. It's just only the activities that has a real effect on the nature results. You see here a screenshot of CMSI Web, the map viewer in the CMSI Web. And if you want to make add a project in CMSI Web, you start most of the times you start on the map, and you select the geometries in the map. And we've got a map layer that's a compartment layer in CMSI Web, and all our sites are divided in compartments. And that compartment layer you can use for planning, but also we use that compartment layer for making agreements. And every different nature type is a compartment. So grassland is a different compartment from a forest. And yeah, in a site you have several grassland compartments and several forest compartments. But that's the main geometries we use for planning. But if that compartment layer isn't suitable for the project you want to plan, there's also an ability to make your own geometry. You can draw a geometry in CMSI Web even outside of your of the site. So, or you can make a combination of several geometries and draw one own geometry of it. Another option is to upload a shapefile. For example, you have a Q-field inventarization, collect the data in the field, make a shapefile of it, and you can import that shapefile and select the geometries from that shapefile and start with that geometries to make a project. After you select the geometries, on the left side you see a selection module and see in this case 3 pools. You can start the wizard to add a project to it. In this case, a water management project for pools. And you select the project and you select a year you want to execute that project. So you've got your location, the where is the geometry, the what is the water management pools, and the when question is 2024. And in this wizard, you can add some financial codes if you want to link this information to your financial system, for example. You can add those codes in this wizard. And the last step of your planning is to add details fields. When their geometries are added to an annual project, you can select the geometries again and add the extra information. For example, in the plannings field, you can add the condition when it has to be done. You can say something about the executor who has to do the information, or add an extra description. This is the place where we use the free text fields. So you got all the freedom to fit it to your own management practice. In this case, I selected all the 3 compartments, but you can also select one or more, but it's a multi-edit option. So if the management is the same for several compartments, you can select them all at the same time and fill in once the information. Then we're focusing on the specifics and exceptions. So So if everything is going to the how it was planned, you only have to adjust the status of an annual project. But if something is going different than the plan, or it's an exception of something special, then you have to put in information more specific and spend more time to it. And then we link that information to the location, to the linked geometry, because then it's easier to receive the information out of the system. Later on, I shall show you more of that. And what needs to be recorded, all the projects we plan in CMSI Web has to, you have to put in the status at the end of the season, so if it's done or not, and all the deviations that affect the nature results you have to put in. So if you have a planning mowing activity and you have planned you may mow after 15 June and you mow on 17 June, that's not an exception, that's normal. So you don't have to administrate that. But if you mow 3 weeks earlier, then you have to administrate that, because that affects the nature result. You add to the geometry what is done or what is not done, and why it's done or why it's not done. So that's the information we want to know about. We want to know by management recording. It works just almost the same as the planning. You select the geometry on the map, and on the left side you see the project appear, and you go to a wizard to the extra details, and in this case you fill in the recording field. And in this example I put in that it's not carried out because the location was too wet and want to try it next year, and you tick the box not as planned. So you know this is a diversion. Sorry, it's something special is happened here. And at the end of the season, you go to the forum of the project and change the status of the project. In this case, executed with a deviation. And this is about all the linked geometries. If you have an annual project with 50 linked geometries, then you can at once set the status to finished, for example. And if it's executed as it was planned. Consult and analyze the data. I already told you that it's very important to that is every data you enter in the system. You have to be able to consult as an employee. So we created data views for easy consultation of the data. So we've got a view for management planning, and that's all the projects, annual projects are in the view, with the project name, the data, but also all the common fields, the detailed fields we have in CMSI. And that information we make available in the different system. Of course, in CMSI is available, but also in QGIS and Power BI. And we use the system that already on the market, because when we use QGIS for this, it has all the GIS functionality you need, and we don't have to develop it ourselves. There's an example of CMSI and the map viewer of CMSI. On the left side, you see different layers. Also, agreements and buildings are in that layers, and also the sites. But the first one is annual projects. And if you turn on that layer, you can see where projects are planned. And if you click on the map, you will see on the left side of the screen which projects are planned. And if you want to see more about, want to know more about a certain project, you open the project forum you see on the right side of the screen. And this is the project I just made in the demonstration. If you want to see more details of a certain location, you click on that geometry, and on the left side you see it's that it's water management planned in 2024, and you see an exclamation mark in orange behind the geometry that says there's something special with this geometry. And if you click on it, you see the information I showed you before, which I filled in. So it's important to it's an easy way to retrieve some information about one location. But if you want to analyze the data, we use QGIS, because QGIS has more possibilities for that. And as I already mentioned, it has all the GIS functionality you need. So on the left side, you see a map layer of the demo site, and I put a filter on it that is only showing the demo sites and only the projects from 2024. And I put a legend on it with all the projects, and I made give them the different colors here, so you can easily see on the map which information is in CMSI. and that I can make the maps based on the view we have made for the annual projects. And you see here on the bottom right side of the screen, you see the table which contains to the map layer. And you see all the fields are available, which also all the fields in CMSI are available in this table. There's also a hyperlink to the CMSI form in the table. So if you want to change the information, you can click on the hyperlink and you start the CMSI form, and you can adjust information that isn't right, for example. If you want to see more details of planning, you can also do that in QGIS. You have the same map layer, but you put on a different filter. In this example, I have put a filter on the map layer with the demo site in 2024 and the project crane field management. And if this filter provides you with a small set of data, and then you can add a legend on it. For example, in this case, I did a legend on a common field within CMSI, and it shows the different species of crane that are used. So all the details you fill in CMSI, we have available in QGIS. And if you want to make a map of the executor, you can make a map of the execution. Only you have to put in the right filter on the data. The nice way of this is that you see all the information that you see is in the central database of CMSI. It's stored on one location, so all the colleagues that have a CMSI account can see this information. So an employee of us a colleague of us can start a QGIS project, add all the layers you want to show from a certain site with all the details in it, and he can also other colleagues can also use the same project, and you're always looking at the source data, so you don't have the problem of copies that are made and different versions exist. So we're always looking at the source data in CMSI, and if something's not wrong in the source data, you change it in CMSI, and it's changed for all the colleagues that use that same project. Power BI, we use that for to make user-friendly reports. Also for colleagues that are not familiar with CMSI can also still see the information from CMSI, and we also use it to connect data from different systems. So we can combine data from CMSI with data from our financial system. And we use also hyperlinks in the data to CMSI web. So if you got a report like this, you see the sites on the left side. Still all empty, the recording, because it's data from 2024. And the management is not done yet. But on the right side, you see also an URL link, and it's a hyperlink. If you click on that, you start Google. I think you start the CMSI web on that form, project form in CMSI, and you can change the status of the project, for example. Now I'll share some experience we had with the using of the method and the software. The working from the map was very important. You see, there was much more support from for the implementation of the new method when we showed them they could use the map as the first enters of information and click on the map and see the information, but also start a project on the map instead of selecting from a list, for example, geometries from a list. Also, the availability of data is very important. We've got CMSI Web, so it's available on the phone. You get all the information they need in CMSI Web, and that motivates. And if you can get the information everywhere on this on the on the office and in the field, it motivates more to fill in that information. And also have the data available in QGIS gives you a very large possibilities to do something with the data. Compare data from management with the monitoring results, for example. It's very important to have a simple way to enter and maintain the data. It's not something they do every day. So if it's very difficult to do, they forget every time what they have to do. So it has to be easy, and it's much important that it doesn't cost a lot of time. So that multi-edit option we have in CMSI is very handy. In the first version of CMSI, we didn't have that, so you have to put in it all the information. For every geometry, they have to put it in again. You can copy and paste, but it costs a lot of time. And the multi-edit motivates them much more to put into the information. So make it easy to fill in the information. And once they put in the information, reuse the entered data. So use the same data for planning and recording. And if it's a planning is filled in on the right way, and they're executing the project as it was planned, then a recording is very simple. So you focus only on the difference and spend time on that, and not spend time on the things that are going well. And also, if once the information is put into the system and you do a project this year, but also next year, it must be easy to copy the information. So they can invest one time in very good information in the system, and after that they can copy that information. Motivates them to put in the more information because they only have to do it once. Then support is very important, and it's also long-term support. It's we experience that it's not possible to explain the method and the software once and then let the employees work with it. That's too difficult for them, because there's a great variety of knowledge and skills. Some people can do it, but a lot of people are not very fond of using computers and do not have the skills to do it. So you have to support that. And also sometimes you've got job changes, so you have to explain the method again on the same site. But the good thing about that is you also learn how the system is used, and you can use that for the development of the method and the software you're using. So you learn a lot of the support you give to your colleagues. And yeah, it's important to provide training and make video instructions, so they can, after they had the explanation, they can see it again in a video instruction. Saves a lot of time. With the new method, the basic of new method is that we implemented is also. We use adaptive management with the new method, and how we do that is that, for example, you've got a mowing project and you mow your grassland every year. We're not planning it for 10 years further, because when something has to change, you have to also change all the data in your system. But also we want to create a moment where you can look back to your experience you had the last year and see if you want to do it the same next year, or do you want to change it. So that's the way we implemented adaptive management in our methods. And you see that planning changes over the years. So it's very important to record the management history over the years. So if you change your mowing date, or you're going to change from mowing to grazing, then it's important you record also your history. So in CMSI you can copy annual projects. So and then you can change the data in the new year. So if you copy an annual project from 2023 to 2024, when you change the information in 2024, the original data will still stay in 2023. And so for evaluation, it's very important to keep that history and not having one planning which constantly is changed and not record the history. Time is limited for management planning and recording in our organization, but I think it's in all organizations that time is limited. So you have to decide which information you minimally want to have in your system, and you have to focus on the most important information. You can. What is most important is something. Yeah, our colleagues have to decide them for themselves. But when they set objectives, it's good that they also think which data they need for the evaluation of that objective. So if you want an evaluation of your forest management over 6 years, then it's good to record also detailed data about your forest management. But if the next 6 years you don't want to evaluate forest management, then you don't need that detailed information in your system about forest management. So try to focus on what's most important. And at the start of the implementation, it's good to see what's already done within your organization on management planning and recording, because that's normally are the most motivated people also to use your system. But your system has to require has to have the minimum requirements that they also use in their own system, or you have to at least discuss with them if it's important or not. And in that case, you learn a lot of it because you know which information they want to store. But also you can they can help you with support for the system. And make sure that the work process and the software are in line with each other. And sometimes you have to change your work process to fit into the software, and sometimes you can change your software to make it in line with your work process. And start with a pilot with motivated people, because when you start, it will not work immediately for 100%, and it's easier to explain that to motivated people than to people that aren't really motivated to do the management planning and recording. Then some new developments with the software we are going to use. For some projects, we want to store extra information, more detailed information. For example, when we're having a project for spreading cross clippings to spread seed from a source location to a target location, we want to record what kind of plants were on the source location, what kind of plants were on the target location, how the soil condition, that kind of things. It's too much information to put into CMSI, and Microsoft Forms formulier for it. It's a questionnaire which can have all the information, questions about all the information we want to record. Also, we put in there a field which can store the project code of CMSI, the site of CMSI, and the year of CMSI, of the CMSI project. And then with Power Automate, which is a Microsoft product which can do actions with data in Microsoft programs. With Power Automate, we can make a document of the questionnaire, and that document we can store in SharePoint with the right CMSI fields in it. In that case, it's linked to CMSI, and the information is stored in the CMSI linked to the CMSI projects. so our colleagues don't have to think about where they're going to store the form with the extra information. That's done with Power Automate. It's something new. We're not having real experience with it, but I think it's an easy way to store extra information and support your colleagues with this process. Also, what we're going to do is develop an additional fields for better standardization of the records. We had a lot of information in CMSI, and we analyzed the data, and we saw we needed an extra field for type, number, and unit. So, for example, for a grazing project, we can fill in how many cows are allowed in that certain parcel, and that makes it easier to compare information and to extract information from CMSI web. This was the end of the presentation. Thanks for your attention, and Henk will tell me if there are some questions.
Yes. Christian, thank you very much for this great presentation. It was an eye-opener for me. I didn't realize that the CMSI could be so easily used, maybe, and also that it provides so much information for the site manager, but also relevant information for reporting and looking back on the impact of your management activities, and use it also to adapt your management in the new cycle. So it was really helpful, and really gave a lot of insight in what CMSI is able to do and to help in management. Indeed, there is a question. But maybe since I'm chairing, I would like to ask a question first, and that is, I was wondering, because you look at management activities, you record management activities, and you use that to evaluate the impacts and to adapt your management. But I was wondering if certain, like sudden droughts or floods, or let's say the decrease of the groundwater level, that kind of circumstances have also a big influence on the biodiversity and on the quality of the site. How do you include that in your CMSI recording?
It's also something that affects the nature results. So we want to have it in CMSI web, and in our project catalog we've got something like unexpected project, and that's a project we can use for flooding or fires, for example.
Okay.
And only if it really has influence on the nature result. But it's difficult because some of the influence are so broad over all the terrain. For example, the low water level, that's not what we record. But if there's a flooding or a forest fire, for example, what we want to have in our system as a project.
Okay. So, and there's a question from Elmira Boykova, and she asks, what time period could we expect when the EU will accept this 5-year experience as a management tool at EU nature protection level? That's a difficult question for you, I guess, Christian.
Yeah, that's not a question I can answer because I'm not that familiar with EU regulations and kind of stuff. So I cannot answer that.
No, it is, as I told in the beginning in the introduction, the EU is via a live project. I don't know whether it's running, working on a methodology to improve protected area management effectiveness and also to measure protected area management effectiveness, but I don't know whether CMSI is included or will be included in the evaluation of protected area management effectiveness. Another question of Anna Radke is CMSI for free? And is it possible to use standardized Natura 2000 management options as a kind of default? How to set up the set of management measures?
Yeah, CMSI isn't free. You have to buy a license of it. And it's so and but it's developed with several nature conservation organizations within Europe, most of them in Netherlands or in the UK. And the part of the license money goes also to developing the system. But yeah, it's not free. More information I don't have about more information about it I don't have. So if you want to know that, you have to contact IDOCS group in Wales. You can find them on the internet. And if you can implement Nature 2000 rules, or was the question, but yeah, you can use a library in CMSI which can contain all the Natura 2000 activities if you want that. It's free. Every organization can choose their own way of filling the project library.
Yeah. And Cas Burger, he's asking whether in which languages is CMSI available?
All language. It's basically English, but you've got a the translation file which every organization can change. So we've got changed it to Dutch, and we've got our own Natuurmonumenten translations. And Staatsbosbeheer, another organization in the Netherlands, also use CMSI Web, but have their own translation. So it's English based, but you can change that.
Okay. Carolina, would you like to add to this? No?
No, we just have another question as well from Anna, I see.
Yeah. Do you in the Netherlands catalog also include all private agriculture meadows farmers/farmers who get GAP funding, e.g. for later mowing and so on? So indeed, if there are agricultural fields in your area, is that included in your system?
Yeah, we've got in our system, we've got the agreements with the farmers, and the agreements have the conditions, all the conditions they have to fulfill too. But also all the planning and recording in the planning and recording module, we add those as projects, because for us it doesn't, for the nature result, it doesn't matter if a farmer does it or we do it ourselves or a contractor does it. So we also want that information in our system, and yeah, that's available. That's something they have to, the site managers have to put in our system as projects.
Okay, it's not the farmer who is filling in this information. It's the
No, at the moment CMSI Web is only available for people with an account of CMSI, and and that's the accounts is only employees of Natuurmonumenten and sometimes a volunteer. But yeah, we're looking for a way to let even a certain part of CMSI, which is only, you can only see one project, for example, but that's not developed yet, but it's on the wish list for CMSI. And in that case, a farmer could add the information if you require that of a farmer.
Yeah. All right. I don't see any more questions, and it's also 5 o'clock, so it's an hour. that we spent, and I got a lot of information. For me, it was a lot of new information, very insightful. Well, once again, thank you very much, Christian, and all the participants also. Thanks a lot for participating and listening in. Our next webinar will be on the nature restoration law, but because the nature restoration law is at this moment a bit hanging